Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time, welcome. Today's video is going to be on autism and suicide. But before we get into this important topic, here's the intro, and I'll be right back. A recent national retrospective study from Denmark found individuals with a diagnosis, Autism Spectrum Disorder, ASD, have an increased risk for suicide attempts and suicide death. Among study participants, 35,020 had received a diagnosis of ASD. When adjustments were made for sex, age, and period of time, individuals with ASD were over 3 times more likely to attempt suicide than those without ASD. This difference was more pronounced for females with ASD, who were more than 8 times more likely to attempt suicide than females without ASD, while males with ASD were 1.93 times more likely to attempt suicide than males without ASD. One of the most important findings of this study was that protective factors for suicide in the general population were not protective for individuals with ASD. In fact, being married or cohabitating and employed were less protective for those with ASD. In addition, the risk of suicide attempt increased with education level and was highest among those with a university degree. The results of this research highlight the need for tailored suicide prevention strategies for individuals with ASD whose risks and protective factors may differ from those in the general population. Another study in the U.S. showed a significant increased risk of self-harm and suicide among people with autism and showed the need for programs to reduce that risk. The research showed overall children and adults with autism have a 3-fold increased risk of self-harm with a slightly higher risk in adults. Several factors may explain the increased risk of self-harm in people with autism. Self-injurious behavior such as hand-hitting, self-cutting, and hair pulling occurs in as many as 42% of people with autism. There's also a known link between self-injury and suicide, researchers noted. In addition, it is estimated that 28% of people with autism also have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. 20% also have anxiety disorder, and 11% also have depression. Further research should aim to determine the impact of co-occurring diagnoses, develop injury surveillance systems for the autism population, and implement effective preventive strategies to ensure the safety and well-being of people with ASD, added a professor of anesthesiology at the Columbia College of Physicians and Surgeons. About 2% of U.S. adults, 5.4 million, have autism, and the number of U.S. children diagnosed with the condition has increased in recent decades, going from 1 in 10,000 in the 70s, projected to be 50% of the children by the year 2025. The findings of these systematic reviews and meta-analysis underscores the need for targeted interventions to reduce the risk of self-harm in people with autism. Among the myriad of health problems facing people with ASD is the excess risk of injury, mobility, and mortality. The emergency department presents a unique clinical setting for intervention to reduce the self-harm and other injuries to people with autism. And emerging literature suggests that autistic adults are at increased risk of experiencing suicidal thoughts, making suicidal plans and attempts, and dying by suicide. However, there are few studies that have investigated whether autistic traits were related to suicidal behavior. There is some evidence to suggest an association between undiagnosed autism and suicidal behavior. If you know someone experiencing suicidal thoughts, please direct them to the National Suicide Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. That ends today's Artsy Autism Mom Chronicles. I'll leave more information in the description of this video. Please follow me on all my other social media. And until the next time, peace and blessings from the West Side. Bye, you guys.